Happy fall. I have got my fall cup. We have our fall colors. The leaves are changing. It is beautiful. It's almost sweater weather, and we are painting beautiful fall trees with lots of splattering today. If you have not splattered with me before, this is such a fun way to use watercolor and create really gorgeous, fun, playful fall art. So grab your favorite yellows and oranges and browns and come and paint and play with me today. We're going to complete this gorgeous tree in about 20 minutes. Well, I am super excited and thrilled to be painting with you today. We are going to do one of my favorite projects that I do every year, which is creating this really fun splatter art with trees. I have been playing and painting this week and really coming up with a robust fall colors. Every year I change it up a little bit, and in this picture I had done a bunch of trees with a path going through that. But for this YouTube video, where we really are trying to keep it within about 20 minutes, we're just going to do a single tree. Now I'm going to warn you or tell you ahead of time that maybe you might want to pause in between or finish up the last layer after we finish the video, because you're going to get the splattering effect as you let it dry in between sessions. So we're going to paint, so you can see right now, even in this one, I have went ahead and started, and I'll have this picture on the blog, which I'll link down here, but you can see where I've just outlined my tree. And what I did is I did create a blue background, so my sky background, and I let that completely dry before I start splattering. Otherwise, of course, this will get all murky, and I didn't want a completely white background. This time I was going for something a little bit different, and I also wanted just a bit kind of a moody blue. So I mixed an ultramarine with a little bit of cobalt, which you can see right here. Put that on and I let that dry. So go ahead and pause if you want to paint with me and create that, let it dry, and then come back. And then what we're doing today is I have basically gathered a variety of my favorite yellows, and mostly yellows and browns, and I have a little bit of red, which I created an orange with, but I don't have like the brilliant reds or purples in this particular tree. So a very warm, rich, orangey hue today. So I have my beauty. This is a pretty pumpkin, so I have this pumpkin out, a little bit of some of that color inspiration here, and we still don't have like a really, like, the colors are changing, but they're not super rich. So still kind of going in that mode today as well. So I've got my paper ready, and I am just celebrating the beauty of the fall season. I'll kind of go in and out a little bit. I've got my tea in my pumpkin cup, my pumpkin spice and everything nice, which I think my dear friend Chrislyn gave me. I think this is the one she gave me. It may have been, I think I've had one or two over the years. I think I found one at the 99-cent store one year, which is just wild to me. But every year I pull out my fall cup and I basically drink out of it all the entire season. So let's start out by taking yellow, or either in any yellow you want. I am going to be playing, so a lemon yellow is going to be too springy. I've got yellow ochre right here that I'm getting nice and wet, and I'll be adding some red to it. I've got a cadmium yellow. If you have, and so grab those, gamboge will work nicely. I've got the cadmium yellow light. And so you can see too, all of these colors, of course, they just blend beautifully together. So let's start sprinkling and splattering our paint. If you haven't done this before, you really want to get it nice and wet. Because I don't have any like flowers or a house, I don't have to really cover the painting up. And so I'm just going to go ahead and just pretty liberally splatter the paint. What this is this is a really fun way to create multiple colors, because these colors will all sing together so prettily. And instead of actually trying to paint each leaf individually, which would be fun but would take up a lot of time, and let's be honest, we probably wouldn't finish the painting, we can create a really fun autumn tree in about 20 minutes. Well, maybe a little bit more if you include dry time. But we're just because it's a single tree too, I don't have to worry too much. We have our pile of leaves at the bottom, right? So I'm gonna just start piling some sprinkle splatters. They look like sprinkles, right? Sprinkles of paint on the bottom. Okay, so you can see that. Now let's go ahead and introduce another color. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab, we're gonna do our trunk in just a minute, but I am gonna go ahead and splatter some brown up here so we can start getting that color in. I've got a raw sienna and a burnt sienna, I'm sorry, and a raw umber. I'm also going to pick up some red, and I've got, you can use a cadmium red. You could actually technically even use a pink, because what we're going to do is we're going to mix the colors and create an orange. I have an alizarin crimson, and I'm just going to come right over here. I'm going to blend the colors together. Again, you can't go wrong. We don't have any greens in this painting, so it's all yellows and reds and browns. The blue is dry, so I don't have to worry about anything getting messy. And then I'm just going to start splattering that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start creating a little bit of the actual leaves. So if you thought we're going to take a break now from the splattering, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my paintbrush wet, and I am going to just start moving around where I am seeing the leaves. So you can see too, I've got my branches, which we're going to do the branches next. I am just going to let that sit there. So again, I'm now, all I'm doing is letting those colors sing by moving them together with a little bit more water. And I'm just spreading them out. I'm kind of seeing too where the splatters have landed. I'll pick up a little bit of color now. And again, just a little bit more. I'm still leaving lots of white. I'm going all the way up to the edge because our tree goes nice and high. Picked up a little bit more water. Okay, that is looking really nice. I'm not trying to overdo it. Now I realize I should have more right in here. I should have some more paint, some color, so I'm going to do some more dabbing here. And then, again, just creating those leaves. Isn't that fun? Now what you can do is if you wanted to create another layer of color, I'm going to pick up some gamboge. Gamboge is a little bit more transparent. I'm sorry, a little bit less transparent. It's more opaque. I've got that one right here. I'm going to put some on the bottom here and then splatter some up on the top. Come in a little bit closer so you can see some of those leaves like right down here. I'm going to take some brown as well. So a little bit of gamboge as I just focus on that one area. And then I'm going to pick up some brown and just sprinkle that. And you can see when it gets this wet, you can see it start to almost water stain. So that's when I'm like, okay, we're going to let this part dry for just a few minutes. If you want your splatters to be smaller, just pick up a smaller brush. So now that I have those, and you can see again where a little bit of that, almost a water stain look, I'm going to come back in with my yellow, and I'm just going to move it around, almost creating that sense of the leaves gathering. And right there, we've removed that water stain. There we go. I'm going to come back out so you can see that, the whole thing. And let's let that dry just for a minute. Just for a minute, so those existing splatters right now can take a minute to dry as splatters. I'm going to pick up another brush, a little one that's a little bit smaller. I'm going to grab my brown. And I'm going to move, I've got my burnt sienna, and I'm going to go ahead and just lightly go over my tree trunks. And you can see as well that it's okay if it goes over some splatters. It just absorbs those colors. This is really fun too if you have like a favorite tree in the neighborhood or maybe in your home or at a park, of going and doing some sketching with right outside, or taking some pictures and then using that tree as inspiration. It is amazing how different trees are in their shapes and their branches. They're not uniform, right? They have odd branches coming this way and that, sticking out here and there. It all adds to their personality. Okay, now I'm going to come back down. I'm going to pick up, again, some more of that light brown, and then I'm going to dip down some dark brown in it, some of that raw umber. So I'm going to move this all the way down. And then make sure it has some wetness to it. I always say if it feels like your brush is scratching, I'm going to pick up some more water. Now I'm going to take the darker brown and I'm going to just create some sense of depth here, some striations in my tree. Where I can see there would be shadowing, I'm just going to set some darker color there. It's wet enough, it's going to spread. And we can always clean it up later too if we find that we have any blotches. Doesn't that look nice? Are those colors just gorgeous? Now one thing you can do as well that I haven't done yet on my other ones, like you can see here, all the splatterings on those little leaves, is you can take the Micron pen later and create and draw in little leaves as well. That can be a really fun way just to finish up the painting. Okay, so now here we are. We're getting pretty dry. Let me work on the bottom just a little bit before I go back to the top. So I'm going to pull my camera back. The light has definitely been changing. I've had to kind of play with recording hours. So when I saw that sun start coming through the window, I was like, okay, it's record time. I got everything together. I couldn't do it yesterday. The sun just disappeared on me. So we are definitely chasing the sun a bit more, right, as the days get a little bit shorter. Okay, we're gonna just, down here, I'm picking up some of my yellow. There was a few birds out this morning. I just kind of sat in the quiet and listened to them as I sipped coffee. One of my favorite things to do in the morning when it's early. It's not quite time to get up, moving around, just to sit. See the sun gently creeping up. It's coming up later now, so I can actually see it rising and that light coming in. Okay, I'm going to pick up some brown. I'm going to just dab that down here. And I'm gonna probably leave this alone now. There's still some white in here, which I want to leave a little bit of white. I'm going to add the darker brown where I know the tree trunks, you know, and the roots start going in and you see the different colors. So I want to create that sense of depth and shadowing there, but I'm going to leave that for now. I am going to come back up here. Okay, you can see a little bit right in here. I want to add just a little bit of darker here. And then I'm going to take the lighter brown. You can, okay, let me show you something too. You can also take yellow ochre. Not a bright yellow, but that yellow ochre if you felt like it was too dark. And you could put a little bit of yellow in there. And then take your brush and just pull that down. And that just adds to the different colors on your tree trunk. I'm just going to move this around just a little bit so it doesn't look blotchy. And I'll probably come back in there and add some more paint. It just is super wet right now. I can feel my paper is buckling just a little bit. Okay, yours might be buckling too because we were doing all the splattering. All right, it's looking really nice. Here we are at just not even 13 minutes, which I love. Look at what we've created in just a little bit of time. If you need to get clean water, make sure you pause and get some clean water. And now what we're going to do is we're going to just finish up with another layer of sprinkles. Splatters. I keep calling them sprinkles. I am going to get some more red and mix it with the yellow because I want to create a new layer of color, but I don't want it to be super, super red. If you want it to be more red, I had added more red into this one and you can see that red in here. It just makes for a little bit of a bolder painting. And that's lovely, whatever you want to do. This is just the kind of the fun of picking out whatever color. If you want to get bold and put in some purple, if you have purple, that can be fun. That might be what I'm doing in the future, is doing a really like a purple and brown with some sap green in it. That other beautiful fall colors like eggplant purples, kind of the purple that I'm thinking of. And I'm just, you know, I'm going to actually I'll put a little bit of red, just straight red. Tap, tap, tap. Again, you might want to let yours dry for a few more minutes. This one's going to be a little bit more wet on wet today, but I am liking this one a lot. I'm going to pull in a little bit of brown too, just for the sake of contrast. So we can create some contrast in our leaves. They don't turn into a big blur. Okay, that looks nice. Now what I'm going to do, I'll get my paintbrush, nice and wet, pick up the yellow, and then once again, where I see it as a really obvious, it just looks like too splotchy, I start going around in there, and I am just imagining the leaves on the trees. Just taking the tip of my paintbrush and moving it around. You might want to have a picture of a tree in front of you. That can actually be a lot of fun. I know I was doing just a couple of small projects for people who wanted me to either, someone had been on vacation and they wanted me to commission me to do, to paint their vacation spot, someone else their home for the holidays. And it's so much fun to have that picture in front of you and just to kind of watch it come to life on the canvas, or the watercolor paper. So if you have a special tree, that would make for even a fun gift. Christmas is right around the corner. I hate to say that out loud, but I was working on my embroidery the other day, working on some gifts. I thought I have got to pick it up a little bit. I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to watch Anne of Green Gables, and I'm going to embroider while I watch it. I haven't seen that in absolute ages. Okay, all right, this is lovely. I'm going to do some sprinkles to represent some of those leaves falling. Not a lot, but a little bit. I'm not going to do too much up here because I don't want it to start getting the water stain look, and that can be a fine line. What I will do is after this completely dries, I'm going to come back in and I'll do one more, just a little layer of sprinkles with a small brush. And you can see what that looks like right here. You can see just one more layer of sprinkles when it's all dry adds to that texture. Because even though this is watercolor, what's really fun is when we do the splatter art, you can create this sense of texture and a sense of dimension on the page. So I'm going to come back again with a little bit more brown. I'm going to just kind of I have it pretty wet on my brush because I just want to almost do, not quite a wash, but just do another layer, and then on the side. And I did like the way it was darker in the center here, so I'm going to leave that, add a little bit more darkness there. I have an interesting little design going right here, so I'm going to leave that. Let me come in so you can see that. I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to take the lighter brown, just go around it. Okay, I'm going to come back up so you can see a little bit. I'm going to move this just a bit so you can see the bottom here. A little bit more splatters, a little bit of red, and a little bit of brown. And just dab it a little bit to show almost where there might be the shadows, the different colors of leaves on the ground. Not too much, just little dabbing. If you feel like you got a little bit much, like I did right there with the brown, I can either mop it up with a dry paintbrush or a soft cloth, or I'm just going to take a light yellow and I'm just going to move it around. Create a sense of the leaves on the ground. Okay. Okay, isn't that fun? Let it dry and then take off the edges of the tape. It's going to be beautiful. Happy October, happy fall, celebrating the beauty of the season together. I'm so glad you are painting with me today. I hope you've enjoyed this. Next week, we're going to be painting mums and some other fall flowers in the future, so excited to see you soon.